Hi everyone, how's it going? So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a different session, a bit interactive. It's going to be live coding. I don't know why I do this to myself, but every time I say I'm going to do this, and it might go really well, it might go badly, but let's in the spirit of what Nitsche was saying this morning about playing together, let's give that a go. So yeah, if you want to clone that repo, give it a go, and then just try and run vendor bin php unit. I've committed the vendor directory because I didn't want everyone to smash the network and run composer install at the same time. Not sure if it's actually going to work for you, but see how you go. I think it assumes you're running PHP 7 locally. So I'm going to talk for a bit while you do that, and then we'll jump into it. So today I want to talk about how to unit test in Drupal 8. Not necessarily the best way, just what I want to do is get you all unit testing and remove a lot of the common blockers that you might have, so that I'm assuming that you've all wanted to unit test, or maybe you're already doing it, but if you haven't started yet, this will hopefully remove some of the common blockers, so that when you start your next project, you're like, all right, yeah, I'm going to give that unit testing thing a go, and oh yeah, that's right, that presentation, and yeah, this is how you get around that issue, and hopefully we can all learn some things today. And I guess part of the goal is, you know, we all work with testers. Testers are people too, and you know, if I can just prevent one regression from happening in one system that a tester doesn't have to deal with, then maybe we've achieved something today. Can I have a volunteer from the front row, maybe you, sir, just to remind me when a good time is to commit and push things up, because I'm going to forget that. So when you think it's a good time to commit, just yell it out. Also, audience participation is encouraged as well. So if you see me doing something stupid or making a mistake, it'll definitely happen at least a couple of times. Maybe give me 1 or 2 seconds. If I don't realise it, just yell it out and say, hey dummy, you need to fix whatever I've stuffed up. So, okay, you still might be cloning or whatever, or not. We'll see how we go. This is a project that we worked on recently for the Football Federation Australia. So we started cutting code in May this year, and the sites went live in October. It was about 20 websites, and this is the level of code coverage that we managed to achieve. So obviously it's not perfect, but we gave it a good go, and a lot of what is coming out of this talk is based off what we managed to achieve in that build. So the websites for the FFA, it's things like the Socceroos, who, yay, we made it into the World Cup, and I think the All Whites are playing tonight, or at 3 PM today, so they might make it in too. Stuff like the A-League website, Wellington Phoenix, Melbourne City, MyFootball, all those sort of things. So yeah, this talk is based off that. But, all right, let's get into the code. All right, can we do this? Yeah. Okay, I need some encouragement. Can we do it? Yep. All right, okay. Let's get into it. Oh my God. All right, so can everyone kind of read that? I tried to set the font, okay. So you can read, yeah, cool, okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is the project to get this started is I used a composer-based Drupal project to just get it started. So I just ran these 2 commands, composer create project, and then I just required mockery because we're going to be using that for some of the latest tests. That's all I've done. I don't actually have a working Drupal install here because you shouldn't need it to run PHP unit tests. Okay, so I'm going to, we've got a test directory here, and I'm going to create a file, and I'm going to call this quadruple.php. And yeah, that's going to be a class, and we're going to call this quadrupler. Okay, and in this class, what we're going to have is a function, and what's that function going to be called? That's going to be called quadruple, and it's going to accept a string, and it's going to return a string, and all it's going to do is it's going to do a string replace, and it's going to look for the word Drupal, and it's going to return Drupal, 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 Drupal. It means I'm going to be saying Drupal a lot in this presentation. That's what we're here for, I guess. Okay, so basic class, and so then what we want is a commit already. Okay, all right. Jesus. I asked for it. There we go. Okay. The initial quadruple class. Not a great commit message. Anyway. Yep. Cool. So then we're going to create a test class called quadruple test.php, And yep, and that's going to extend PHP unit test case, because that's what you do. So make sure I'm still on track here. Yep, okay. And so we're going to write a little function here. So if you're writing test functions, they have to start with test. We're going to test the quadruple function. And I'm going to say, given one Drupal, we're going to return 4 Drupals. The format I'm using here is from a book called The Art of Unit Testing. It's just a preference of mine, but you don't have to write your functions like that. Okay, so then what do we need? I forgot one thing. Because we haven't we're not auto-loading correctly and stuff, we're just going to have to include that file for now. And we're going to go quadruplarer equals new quadrupler. And we're going to write an assertion, and we're going to say assert equals. So if we pass it, the first thing is what you're expecting. So Drupal, 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 Drupal. If we pass quadruplarer Drupal. Okay, with me so far? So we're testing the quadruple function by passing it a single Drupal, and we're expecting 4 Drupals back. So how do our PHP unit tests look so far? So we go vendor bin PHP unit. All right, sweet. So we've got 1 test and 1 assertion. Now, I haven't done any config. The way that's working is this project by default has a PHP unit xml.dist file, and that says that anything in the test directory should be tested. So all good there so far. Now, let's add another test here. Okay, so given... Now, string replace, I believe, is case sensitive. So let's say that if we pass it uppercase Drupal, we should just get a single uppercase Drupal. Now, I'm just going to add a typo here so we can see an actual failing test, so you know I'm not making this up. Cool, okay, so expected Drupal, we've got Drupal A, so we'll change that. Okay, cool, we're off and running. So I'm going to do one more test, and then we're going to do something. Come here, can I do one more test first? All right, I'll just do one more. Thank you for reminding me though. Okay, so in my last test, I'm just going to add some text either side of this. So we're going to have something like that. I'll do lowercase, and then actually I did that in reverse. So okay, so given Drupal with text, return Drupal 4 Drupals with text. Okay, so if we pass it AA, Drupal AA, what would we expect to get? Okay, let's give it a go. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Never mind. In my test when I did this, it didn't actually work. Random. Cool, okay. PHP unit says it works. Cool. Come here. Initial unit tests for quadruple. I'm hating my commit messages right now, but anyway. Yep, got to add something. Yeah, add that. Okay, push that up. Great. Now, so at the moment we're just testing in this test directory. That's what this project recommends. I don't really like that. I much prefer to have my tests actually within a module, so it's sort of contextual about where your tests are. Otherwise, you kind of have to organize the same structure within your test directory. So let's do that now. So what do we need to do? Okay, I'm going to make a directory here. So we don't have any custom modules yet, so I'm going to make a quadruplarer test source units. That's where our unit tests are going to go. And then also I need to add source. Yep, like that. Okay. Then we need to move our 2 files. Yep, and to web modules custom test source. Yeah. Okay, cool. So if we try and run our unit tests again, we get no tests executed. That's kind of expected because there's nothing in our test directory anymore. Yep. So what do we need to do now? Let's try and get these working in this module directory. So the way you sort of run tests if they are within your normal module structure is you do this. So there's a PHP unit file in core. You run that and you specify where to test your modules from to do something like that. And we get an error. That's expected. So we need to go back to our quadruple function. We need to add a namespace of Drupal/quadrupler, and we need to open our quadruple test function, and so PHP Storm doesn't know about this anymore, so we need to go quadrupler, and then let's import that class. Okay, we might be in business here. Let's see how we go. Okay, still not found. I've done something wrong. Can anyone help me out? Namespace? Oh, yeah, you're right. Cool, yes. So, with the PHP unit dist file in core, so let's have a look. Web core tests. Good. Thank you. You guys are on it. I love it. PHP. Oh god, there's just too many of these. Let's just find it. Web core. Is it here? That's what. Okay, it's there. Okay, so that's the one we're running. So, in this PHP unit file, there's a reference to bootstrap.php, and if we open bootstrap.php in our tests directory, you can see here that the way it auto-loads stuff is it looks for a .info.yaml file, and if that file is present, then it's going to auto-load. So what we need to do is just add a dummy module file, quadruple.info.yaml. Okay, let's try again. Sweet, 3 tests, 3 sessions. So now we've moved everything into our module. That's kind of the normal way you'd expect to do stuff. So we talked about autoloaders. So now the next thing you might want to do is commit. All right, excellent. I prefer tests to live with real code. All right. Cool. So push that up. Is anyone actually following along out there? Maybe. Some people. Okay. Right. So then the last thing we might want to do is fix our PHP unit XML default file. So what we do there is we copy the distribution file to here, and then if we open that up, come on PHP Storm, there it is. So we might want to call this custom module tests, and then we just need to refer to web modules custom. And now we should be able to write just PHP unit. Nope.
Wouldn't it be easier to run the tests with the Drupal run test script and just specify the directories that we just
It could be, but you know, PHP unit's pretty simple sort of config, so you might want to run this via Travis, which we'll talk about a bit later. So you definitely could do that, but I kind of prefer to just do the standard PHP unit way and how it expects. So, yep. So we've stuffed something up. What have we done?
copy the wrong disk file, PHP unit directory.
I copied the wrong disk file.
You want to copy from web/core?
Oh, okay. No, you're right. Yeah, I was just going to use this one though. So I was going to grab the auto load from here, which is in where web core tests bootstrap.php. But yeah, we could do exactly that as well. Okay, cool. We're in business. So let's commit that. Run PHP unit without params. Oops, oh, whatever. Okay. How are we going so far? We're doing it. Okay. Next. So now, let's touch briefly on dependency injection, because what we've done so far is pretty basic stuff. This might have got a few of you over the line from where you were previously, but let's keep going. So say that in our quadruple function, if the user's anonymous, then we want to change the string somehow. So the way you may do that is you might use the account proxy class, right? So make a new one of those, and then what we might do is we might go like this, and then what we do, we go if okay, if they're anonymous, then we're going to UC first, make the first character uppercase. Something like that, because why not? Okay. Sweet. All right. And so then we want to test that. So we go back to our test class, and we go test quadruple given anon user first char uppercase, something like that. We grab this, and so what we're expecting is Drupal if we pass it Drupal. Okay. Oops, wrong one. Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, tests. Hey. Oh. Oh, the other tests are failing now. Sweet. Okay. Well, that's good. Let's just reverse that logic then, because I don't want my other test to fail. Okay, cool. So we got one test failing. And so then we go, all right, cool. I want to test that. Oh, but I've stuffed it up there, haven't I? I'm saying given authenticated user. Right. So then we come to here and we go, all right, but how do I change the logic of this based on my test, because that code is kind of contained within this function. So if I want to test both scenarios and this kind of is anonymous thing is not really controllable, how do we do it? Well, one solution is to dependency inject the account proxy object. And so what we would do is something like this, and we'd pass it a account proxy object. Okay, pass that through, and then over here, we'll just use that. And that was not, yep. All right, and so then what we can do is we can come back here. Now, yeah, so all our quadruplers are stuff now. So what we have to do is we could use the setup function. And we could do the same thing. Oops, private account proxy. This account proxy equals. So, and then from here, what we want to do is create a mock. So PHP unit allows us to mock the object that we want to use. So we can go account proxy, and you just pass it the name of the, well, everything's happening. Pass it the name of the class, like that. Yep. And then we go here, and we go import class, just to make it a bit nicer. Okay, and then each of these needs the account proxy object. Okay, So where are we at now? Do we think we're good? Have I missed something? Maybe. I think I have. Let's just try it. Okay, still working, still getting the error. So then what we can do with our account proxy object, account proxy mock, is we can tell it to do something different in this particular scenario. So we can go this account proxy. Okay, and there's one thing I like to do first. So if using an IDE, it's really nice to know what methods are available on a particular object. So getMock returns this mock object here. So what I like to do is do variable hinting like this. And so if I add that now, and I come down here, it starts filling in my methods. So it's a really nice way to use your IDE in a better way. Okay, and so then if we get the function is anonymous, we're going to return, in this case, false, because they're logged in. Okay, what did we do wrong? Anyone? Help? Oh, is this a different one? Ah, okay. Yeah, okay, because this is an anonymous user. So it must be anonymous by default. 27, line 27. Yes. And the one before that. Ah, you guys are great. This is good. We're playing together. Yes, we did it. All right, test passing. So commit. Good time? Yeah, all right. Okay. Example, di mock something. Okay. It's going well. All right, so with this dependency injection stuff, we can use it on any object. So if we had a service or any other object, you could use it to serve the same problem. I believe Hussein, who I don't know if he's in here, I've never met him, but he's doing a talk on dependency injection tomorrow, so that might be a good one to go to. Okay, next up we're going to talk about static functions and global functions. So back to our quadruplarer. Say we had another function called quadruple node, and it expected a node ID, and then it would return a node object, which might sometimes be null. And what would we do with that? We might do a node load in here. So we'd go node load, node ID. And then what we might want to do is say set the title. So if the title has Drupal in it, it sets it to 4 Drupals or something like that. So we'd probably do a check here, perhaps to go is the node not empty? And if it isn't, then we might do something like title value quadruple node title value. Yep.
So can you explain what the question mark in front of the node and the return type is?
Yeah, it's a PHP 7 feature that says that the return value can be a node object, or it can also be a null. Yeah.
So the question mark makes it a null as well?
Yeah, so if you don't have the question mark, then it always has to be a node. Yep. The way around that, I guess, would be to create a null node object or something like that, but that's just a way around it. Yep. Okay, so then return the node. Cool. So there's a little bit of logic in there, so I reckon we should test that. And so what you would do, because I know where this is going, you'd write your test and you go, oh, okay, cool. Oh, yeah, we've got a node load in there, so we have to mock that. And you go, oh, gee, how do I mock a static method call like that? Oh, okay, I'll Google it. And then you go, don't test static methods, it's bad, you can't do it. And it's kind of the result of it. There were ways in older PHP unit versions to do it. Generally, they recommend against it because it's really hard, and I think people say that static function calls are evil. Won't go into that, but the crux of it is very hard to test static methods, and so we need to do something to work around that. There's a few options, but one of the easiest is to create a wrapper around the call to a static function call. So we could make something called node wrapper. Namespace of Drupal quadruplayer. Oops, it's a class. Yep. And then in here, we just have to mimic the functions that we need to wrap. So we have a load function that gets passed an NID. I won't bother with return types and stuff. Node. Oops, it doesn't know about node yet. Node. Where are you, node? There you are. Node load. NID. Alright, sweet. So that didn't take too long, thankfully. And then we can go back here, and instead of calling this, we can use our wrap function. Unfortunately, we're going to have to inject that. And there are different ways of injecting. So we could also use a setter to inject it. I don't have enough time to go through all the different options, but I mean, constructors are generally my preferred way of doing things. Obviously, one of the problems that you can see is that if you've got existing code and you need to start injecting things, then all your method signatures are changing, so that can be a bit of a pain and something to watch out for. Alright, sweet, so we've got that, and we come down here, and we go this node wrapper load NID. Okay, so now we're ready to test, and so what do we want to test? We want to test given invalid node ID, return null. So yep, in here we're going to have to add our mock again. Node wrapper. Have you ever seen so much typing in a presentation? Oh, never. I should have just done slides. It would have been so much easier. Alright, node wrapper class. Let's import that to make it a little bit nicer. Okay, node wrapper. So now all these are going to change. Let's just replace those with this node wrapper place. Looking good. Okay. We don't care about the account proxy in this one. So let's grab one of these. Oops. Set up our quadruplayer. Then what do we want to do? It's going to need some love on the node wrapper now. So when we receive a load, in this case, we're pretending that the node wrapper is going, nah, you're crazy, that's not a legit node. So we're going to return null. And then in our assertion, we're going to say we're expecting null when we call quadruplayer node and then, -1, something like that. Okay, let's see how we go. Alright, we have an issue. So that's telling me line 46, node wrapper. What's wrong with our node wrapper? Looks okay, I think. Construct must be an instance of Drupal node wrapper. No, I think what this is... Let me just try this. No. This might be a tricky one. Oh, they're all dying now. Did I make it worse? I did have a backup for this sort of instance, but let's see if we can work this out. Does anyone have any ideas? What do we think? Let's work as a team. Help.
So can you log this log for the workspace? Yeah. There's a typo in the namespace.
There's a typo in the namespace. That would be awesome. Is there? Quadruple.
This is correct. But I think in the test it's something else.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Awesome. So that namespace is wrong. That one. We're missing... missing an A in the other one. In the test one. But I didn't type that one. Am I crazy? Yes! Alright, we did it. Yay, way to go, team. Alright. But what... I don't know. Okay. So what are we doing between there? So we did a mock of our node wrapper so that when we load it in, yep, it's null. Cool, so that tests that little bit. Okay, time for a commit? Yeah, time for a drink, I think. Alright, commit, and what are we saying here? Example node wrapper for static function call, something like that. Okay, better have a drink. Make sure. Okay, so we did that. We built the node wrapper. We did a mock. Okay. Oh, it gets even harder from here. Now we're going to talk about how to do the node title bit. Got this one big hurdle to get over, and then we'll be good. So, say you wanted to mock this bit here, right? So let's come back here, and we'll do this again. So the given valid node with Drupal in title, return node with 4 Drupals in title. That's a long function name. Okay, so this is the really hacky way to do it, and it might serve the purpose in some cases. So I'll just let you know about it. Okay, so here what we want to do now is return a legit node. And I'm just going to cheat a little bit here, and I'm going to remove this return type because it's going to make my life too hard. But so then we go, okay, node equals, and so we really only care about the title, and that's got a value in it, and that's going to be lowercase. Okay, and then what you can do is you can just cast that cheekily to an object in both of these, little cheeky cast there. Okay, so that's the node, and then we can do the same for the expected. And we're expecting Drupal, 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 I believe. So then we come in here, and we go node, and then we go down here, and we go expected. Okay, do we think that'll work? Doesn't matter what you pass there really, but let's pass it something more legit. Okay. Oh yeah, cool. So it worked, just we're not taking into account our anonymous sort of thing. So do that. Yeah, we did it. Okay, so a few things to talk about there, I guess. So that only really works if you're, I mean, like I said, I feel like it's a bit hacky because you're not sort of looking at the whole node object, but I guess in a pinch you can do that because it's quite difficult to compare two complete objects. I don't know if that would even work if you're comparing one mock object to another because they may have some internal differences. You may want to compare, I guess, just the titles as well. So rather than comparing the whole node object, you can do that. But that's just a kind of example hacky way of how you can get around this in a pinch. So let's add that. How are we going for time? How much time do we have? 5 minutes. Holy, okay. I didn't add anything? Yeah, okay. I'm going to have to really just sprint through this. So where did we get to? Oh my goodness, 5 minutes. There's no time for questions. So field values are quite tricky to test, and what I was going to take you through was how to mock in a few other ways. I really dislike accessing field values like this. One of the reasons is that you can't actually access you can't use your IDE sort of pre-populate the values. Now Drupal 8 has a few sort of nicer things in here where we've got get, well, it's not going to give it to me. Anyway, it's got get title, set title, and then you've sort of got these kind of functions. Those I find are a lot easier to mock, so I think that's one good reason to start using them. The problem can be though is that when you're getting a title, you're going to do something like that, and then you've got multiple methods to test. And so what you need to do in that case is there's the crazy way and the sort of more sane way. The crazy way is you can get a mock object to return itself, and then you can kind of test through this insane kind of loop. I'd only really recommend that for testing things like query builders. Mockery has a way where you can chain objects. So we can go node equals, and if we go mockery, I think it's just mock, and then we mock a node like that, whatever. And then, I know that's not right. And then you can basically do a similar sort of, method stuff, but you can add your chained commands in there. So that's another way to do it. But my real preference is to use a wrapper around your actual node object. And one thing I've been experimenting with recently is actually per content type adding a different wrapper, because as well as making it easier to test, one thing you can do is all your custom field types could have their own functions. So you basically build a model object for each of your content types. So you have an article and you go have a get image function, and you have a get title function, and you have a get related articles function or whatever. And so all your field types are really documented within that. I reckon that's a really good way to go. There is a module out there that will do this for you, and it's got an awesome name. It's called Wrapper's Delight. So what it'll do is there's a D8 version in dev, and there's a D7 version ready to go. But what it'll do is it's got a drush function and a console function in Drupal 8 that'll actually generate this for you. Now I reckon that's a really good way to go if you need to do a lot of field level mocking, because it can be quite difficult, and then you get the added advantage of kind of the IDE completion. I've got 2 minutes, oh my god. Okay, unit tests are great, but if you want to get people to use them, one thing that you can do is you can create commit hooks. So we can go, I'm not even going to have time for this. You can create a pre-commit hook, and basically you can just run your PHP unit function in there, so that when whenever a dev kind of goes commit, it'll run the unit tests automatically, and if they fail, it won't let them commit it. It can be a bit extreme, but it's also like, well, if you want people to ensure that they run their tests, that's one way to do it. The better way is probably to set up something like Travis. Oh, look at that, my tests are passing, awesome. They were failing before. So yeah, so you can see that here, the last push I did, and this is free for public repos. So it's run the unit test there, and there's 5 tests, 5 assertions working fine. Okay, 1 minute left. Let's jump to the summary. So now hopefully you've got a few less reasons to not do unit tests. Don't forget about testers. They're people too. It's also good to have a good amount of BHAT tests. In this FFA project, we've got a bunch of those. If you want to know about BHAT tests, stay in this very room, because Berand is going to talk about that straight after, so that would be a great one to stay on. To tie everything together, I haven't mentioned controllers or blocks or hooks in modules. If you want to test those, I would recommend not doing that. So there's a cheeky little comment in one of the files around controllers. Where is it? I don't know, but basically there's someone, whoever wrote that in core, is saying try not to, like, it's saying controllers are hard to test, so don't test them. Just have controllers to be your glue code, and then reference out your external kind of classes, like we've done here. So, we didn't look at hooks or blocks or controllers, but what you should do is access the classes that we've got that we can test from your controllers, and just have the controllers as probably no unit tests or very minimal testing, and just have the glue code to kind of interact with the others. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. One thing I just wanted to mention is the FFA. If anyone is in Sydney or knows a developer in Sydney, these guys are actually hiring a Drupal dev, so come speak to me afterwards if you want. And yeah, thanks very much.